AC. It's too cold.
Africa. Oh. Voilà, c'est ça là. Et ça, il m'a donné fièvre. Ok. Hier, en partant, les gens nous ont écrit des...
Yesterday,
Ça marche pas? Ah, c'est bon. Bien. Les gens nous ont écrit des lettres hier.
yesterday we received letters to tell us what did not work. The day was too long. Yeah, I recognize that and we apologize, but it was necessary. AC was sometimes too high, it was too cold, so we'll manage. Time management or timekeeping. We tried to leave as early as possible, but the day was too long. Lack of digital material. We didn't say that we wouldn't share it with you, but we said that we will give it at the end of the workshop. Have the PowerPoint in English. We will try to have it translated because Anglophone said that there needs to be an English version of the PowerPoint. I was supposed to share it with you yesterday, but I did not work because I was not feeling well. But you will receive it through the week. I couldn't do it yesterday because I was not feeling well, but don't worry, you will have both versions, French and English, of the PowerPoint. And you will have the soft copies of all the documents, all translated in English, so don't worry. I took everybody's email, so I'll share it. There is no Annex 6, but we do not have activity on Annex 6. If there's nothing to do under Annex 6, so that's what justifies the reason why we do not have Annex 6. That's why we moved to 7.1. What was confusing? The issue of tables, long tables that couldn't be moved. Yes, when we did the activity, we had all our interpretation of the instructions, but we agreed on a principle that everybody perceives things differently. The objectives of the training. When we came into this room, we said very simply that by the end of the training, the participant should be able to organize and facilitate a training session for adults. And we did our first session on training of adults. And that's where you have the main objective and the subsequent ones. And if we put all sessions together, at the end, you are supposed to know how to convene and facilitate a training for adults. Now, what worked well? I like better to talk about what did not work, because otherwise you think that you know it all when it's not the case. Now, for the suggestions, enable questions at the end of the session. I usually have participative sessions. You can ask questions during the session. It is not a presentation, but rather a facilitated session where you can ask questions all along. That's the difference with presentations. When you're doing adult teaching, you have to enable them to ask questions as you speak. Self-evaluation of each participant, you will have it in the end, and a participant amongst you will lead it. That's for Annex 2. And you said that we should go a little slower, increase or add more days, training days for the subsequent trainings. I said I cannot answer to that. Some said that the online trainings should be done when they are in their respective countries, and when we are together, do exclusively in-person training. We will see how to adjust and which model to adopt. So these were the letters from you, and when we receive letters, we answer to them. Now here you have a star that is hidden, or you have a hidden star here. Could you please find the hidden star? A hidden star. Could you tell me where the star is? If you have seen it, can you come up and show me? There is a hidden star. I cannot zoom it because it's the projector and it's how it was designed. Can you see the star? Anybody? There is a hidden star. One more minute. Have you seen the star? Yes, the star.
That's a cheating.
Où est l'étoile?
Where is the star? In the middle, behind the graph. Here is the star. You created it. No, this is actually the star. We have highlighted it in red so that you can see it. It's made up of many chunks. The same way you will have many elements in the course, the training course that you will organize. That's exactly the same. Now, develop and measure and follow up on the training. When you're doing evaluation, you have to do it before the training session. So, pre-evaluation. And if you have to have a 2-day workshop or a 2-day training course, I suggest you do it on a daily basis, because it is quite difficult to read all questions from 30 participants after the course. And if you want to receive good appreciation, please solve the problems on a day-to-day basis. Then you have to have the post-evaluation, as we will do when we finish. You also have to understand that the evaluation is not meant just to generate data. There are some trainers who don't even like evaluations because they often want compliments. They want to hear that they did well. I've been working in this field for 15 years, and you sometimes see people who do not like your ways of doing things, but that's their opinion. You have to see it positively and try to improve based on those recommendations or remarks. Don't take it as somebody who do not like you. Uh, be egocentric or being someone who likes compliments. Because if you receive only compliments, you tend to feel that you know it all. What I like is receiving critiques so that I can improve myself. You do the evaluation once and that's it. No, that's not how it happens. During your training, you have to do it, as I said, on a daily basis so that you are able to adjust based on what participants did not understand. And the evaluation should not be complicated or complex for participants. You have to have simple words. You have to make it short and simple. Please go to Annex 8.1. Annex 8.1. You often have trainings that are led by others, evaluation of the trainer. So you might be the one facilitating the training or having somebody else do it for you. So these are the topics on which you should build that training. It's Annex 8.1. 8.1. What do you read? Because at some point, when you want to evaluate the trainer or you want to do it yourself, these are the elements that you should take into consideration. Because very often, uh, you have to understand something. In the training, the participant is the king. He's here to acquire the knowledge and he's expecting you to give him the knowledge. So these are the highlights that will guide your evaluation. Let's take 2 minutes to look through it. So 2 minutes. If you have questions, you can ask them. Let's take 2 minutes to read through. Because after these 2 minutes, I'll select 2 or 3 people to lead the rest of the class for us. We will have 7 volunteers for each part. Now go to 8.2. First volunteer, please ask your question. In the instructions, should we have an X? You have this, assuming that you have decided to evaluate the elements mentioned above, indicating by placing an X in the corresponding box. Now, you are going to choose what you want to put in place. You have many elements based on what you want to achieve, based on what you're looking for. This is how you're going to have your evaluation sheet, and you'll have one that looks like this. A volunteer, first volunteer, that is going to facilitate the first activity. Go to 8.2, please. 8.2. 7 participants will come front. Microphone, please. Annex 8.2, final evaluation. Please take a few minutes to fill out this questionnaire. The main purpose of this questionnaire is to help us evaluate what you have learned individually and collectively. so we can better focus on your learning needs. Check the T for true or F false box for each statement provided below. So a training approach, let's take an example, and then you will do it individually. We will do it collectively, and then you will do it individually. So first one, assessing of the participant's knowledge is the main concern of the capacity-based training. Is it true or false? You will do it individually. You will put an X if it's true under T, or X under F if it's false, and then we will discuss that as a group. How many minutes for this? So do we have answers from the room? Assessment of the participants' knowledge is the main concern of the capacity-based training. Any volunteer for the answer? It's just about saying true or false. You can even choose randomly. True. Is it on the trainer? I'll be here to see if it's true or false, and we can discuss it. Why are you saying true? Why are you saying true? Who is seeing things differently? Who believes that it's false? Musa, why are you saying it's false? I wouldn't say it's false, but I would rather say I do not agree. Why? Because in the capacity-based training, you do not evaluate all the skills and knowledge of the participant, but the skill that is at stake, I believe. Did you understand his opinion? We are here saying that the main concern is assessing the knowledge in a capacity-based training. So we go beyond the knowledge. We try to see the know-how of the person, if the person knows how to do things as expected. So is it knowledge the most important element? No, it's not. So it's false. 2. Let's do it together. Practice is necessary when learning a new capacity. True or false? True. No need to dwell too much on this. We all agree. The learning to master approach recognizes that all participants will not be able to master all of the training objectives. The learning to master approach recognizes that all the participants will not be able to master all of the training objectives. True or false? True? True. The learning to master approach recognizes that all participants will not be able to master all the training objectives. True or false? It's false. You see the negative aspect of the assertion. The sentence is actually asserting something that is negative. You have to read carefully. So it's false. Number 4.
So I would like to read out for clarity. The learning to master approach recognizes that all the participants will not be able to master all of the training objective. So what about participants seeing things differently? We all in the same room, but we see things differently, and our understanding it at different level. Hello.
Yes. Repeat, please.
I'm saying we are all in the same room, but we see things differently. So our understanding, our approach is going to be different. So for me, I say that we will not be able to master the objective at the same level. So I say true.
Hello. So I want to come in here. If you critically look at the statement, it says the learning to master approach recognize that all. So the word all there is referring to all of us, which is not true. I hope you get me. All the participants will not be able to master all the training objectives. If it's some of the participants, then it will be true. But because of all, it makes it false. That is my idea.
I want to support Ghana because the connotative meaning of the sentence negatively points to such an assertion. And it is not possible that all of the persons will not have knowledge. So like she readily said, if they will have used some, then we can look at truth. So I support Ghana on that.
C'est la même chose qu'il disait tout à l'heure.
That is what he was saying earlier. What's his name again? Z, I think. Cyrus. He was saying the same thing, and she is just supporting what he said. If we had said some, but as we say all, like he said, we do not all have the same understanding. So Ghana has given us the argument to support us saying that this is false. So we can continue. I have another perspective. For a trainer who says at the beginning of their class that you are here but you will not all succeed, that is a problem. When you set objectives, you cannot say in a perspective of success, you cannot say 50% will not succeed, etc. The goal of the trainer is to ensure that all participants are able to succeed, and they have to work to bring people to success. That is the philosophy that the trainer should have, and not at the start of their class saying maybe 80% will not succeed. You are here, but some of you will repeat, etc. So for me, that is not the philosophy, pedagogical philosophy that a trainer should have. What you need to understand is that here, we are not saying to the trainer to tell people that they will not succeed. We are doing this to make you understand one thing. When you are here, are you aware of the fact that we're here, but not everyone will succeed, but your duty is to take everyone to success. This activity is not here to say this is what the trainer should tell people. It's just to evaluate what you understood with regard to this session. I think Mr. Ndoi's remark is pertinent. We have competency-based approaches, differentiated pedagogy, and all of this so as to get everyone to succeed. We cannot afford to lose people because we have invested taxpayers' money, and when we do this, we have to make sure that everyone succeeds. We have to try as much as possible to make sure that everybody succeeds. Micro, please. Mic, please. I was saying that this is a way for the trainer. It's a motivation, in fact, for the trainer, because according to the trainer, everyone should be able to understand the objective of the training. And if that is the case, then if there is also a small subtlety with regard to the wording of this sentence, we are not under contracts for everyone to succeed. We have a score from 0 to 20. All those who have 10 out of 20 succeed. In other systems, it's 12 out of 20 also. But we are not in a logic where everybody has to master the content of the training. And in that perspective, we can also say that we are not looking for everyone to master everything. So we go to number 5. No, number 4, sorry. When the participant is able to satisfactorily apply the capacity but does not perhaps move along efficiently from step to step, he has achieved mastery of the capacity. I repeat, when the participant is able to satisfactorily apply the capacity but does not perhaps move along efficiently from step to step, he has achieved mastery of the capacity. I throw the towel. True here, true there. So it's true. If everybody says it's true, then it's true. We cannot all be wrong. Thank you. So 5. To mitigate the anxiety of participants induced by the evaluation, the trainer should avoid judging what each participant does individually. True. So we move forward. Can I go on? Yes. To create, oh yes, 6. An oral lecture course one way is more efficient than an illustrated lecture, visual and oral, to improve the ability of participants to recall. No one agrees with that statement. Someone else?
Merci pour la participation.
Thank you for your participation. And after this, we'll have a lady, a woman.
So we go to creating a positive atmosphere for the training. So question number 7 reads, people learn better if they are actively involved in the learning process. We?
True or false?
True.
Cut across, okay. True. Number 8, it is the trainer's responsibility to conceive the course in a context of a positive atmosphere for the training. Why we going mute? So I can read it again. It is the trainer's responsibility to conceive the course in a context of a positive atmosphere for the training. Unanimous? We agree? Okay, true. Number 9, to encourage interaction between participants, the rooms, tables, and chairs are most often set in a U shape. We remember the exercise yesterday. The room, the tables.
Faire à cheval. La manière préhensoire, c'est bon.
I don't have.
Non, faire à cheval. Non, le fer à cheval.
The horseshoe. Horseshoe. Who's-
U-shape, U-shape. What am I?
Ça, c'est fer à cheval. On a mal traduit. C'est-à-dire que les gens sont assis comme ça. La table est ronde comme ça. Mais les participants sont assis. C'est comme ici. Si on avait des tables rondes, on devait être en fer à cheval comme ça. Les tables seront là. Et puis,
If we are to be seated here, participants would have to be seated like that. It will look like a U-shaped, like a horseshoe. So what we have here, we placed people, seated people like this. We did not put people all around the table.
Hello? So we all agree? True? Okay.
False. It's
Yes?
not.
Why
People's participation is not only based on the of the room. It's also based on the methodology used by the facilitator. The people, it can be U-shaped, but then the person, the type of methods used by the facilitator doesn't involve participation. It will not be realized. That's why I say false.
So,
It's not
so
only the physical.
So if I may ask,
Teacher.
are we in a U shape right now? Huh?
Bon, on peut dire que ici, ce qui est recherché,
We can say that here, what we want is not the participation of the participant, but the interaction between the participants. To interact, you have to see each other, you have to be face to face. So this U-shaped will help people to see each other and interact with other. I also think that it depends on the context. We are here as adults in a training of traders session, and it can be true. But when we are in another context, for example, if we have a practical training session, we are not going to say that this is the right layout for that. So it all depends on the context, in my opinion, or it's depending on the context that we choose the ideal layout. When you put a big table like is there interaction between the participants? Yes, but we are not. We don't have to be seated to be trained. I say if we have a big table like in UN conferences, a table is set like that, will participants be able to discuss, talk among themselves? That is what we are asking in this sentence, the interaction of the participants. So that is what we are talking about here. Even if we are doing technical training with computers, interaction between participants is easier when you are in a U-shape. The one seated here can talk to the person next to them. Whereas if they are in a big, long table, he has one or two possibilities only. If he gets up, he can. It can be a problem for others. But if you want interactivity, if you want to interact with him, he has a problem. He can ask the one sitting next to him or the other person 2 seats away. He has all of those possibilities. What we want here is what is the impact of this interaction. Most of the times we have a table just like that where there's a long table. One participant may need the help of another person, but they have to get up. She doesn't seem convinced. I'm not convinced because here we are comparing between 2 layouts, a U-shaped or a circle, whereas there are many other possibilities to organize training. I can be in a training session with people who need to move around, go pick up tools, equipment, etc. And they will interact among themselves, so even though they are not seated. So when you compare between those 2 here, like we are seated now, there can be interaction, but on other contexts, neither layouts may enable you to interact. Now, I understand the idea. I would like to reword the question. If we're looking for interaction between participants, what is the best layout for that room? If we're looking to achieve interaction between participants, how will you set up the layout? My ideal objective is interaction between the participants. There are several ways you can set up the tables. What is the best layout to allow interaction among participants? If I had to respond, I will just say you have to do the layout based on the context. The trainer said that there is not one ideal layout. Based on the context, we will select the best layout for that training. So for me, we should ensure that in our training sessions, we promote interaction between the participants. That is what's important. Context, there are different contexts, because I see that learners in agricultural processing, they are not seated most of the time. They move around a lot. Often you may even think that it's a bit disorderly, but they just need to move around. They need to move around. So I think that you should look at the context, and you promote interaction between the participants. But comparing these 2 layouts that we just did, the U form or the circle or the U form, we have interaction amongst us in this U form, but in another context, it may not work. I'm not saying that. I just really think that you have to bear in mind that you have to take into context as well. Thank you. I think we're saying the same thing. To respond to your question, I'm happy that they said most often is said in the question. The rooms, tables, and chairs are most often set in a U shape. So there is an opening for other layouts as well. So we are all talking about the same thing.
The conclusion is that the context will determine the setup. Okay. So
I also have a different view. The context will show the setup, as you said. But the best out of all is the you. That's the way I feel. Because, for instance, if you look at question 6, an oral lecture course, one way, is more efficient than. It means we have so many ways of presenting, but which one is the best? And we all went for the visual and the oral. I see, I handle, I understand best. So we might have different ways of presenting our lectures and other things. But the best way whereby participants can interact among themselves, I think, is the you. Because, for instance, if it's in a straight way, if I want to interact with the one at the far end, it will be very difficult. But whereby I see the person face to face, it's very easy to interact with the person. Anyway, that's my view. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll move on, okay?
No, just to say that, thank you, good morning.
It seems that this question is interesting.
My argument is, I think there is the need to restructure the sentence. The word best, I have a bit of problem with it. Because it's like it's suggesting that it is always the best. And I want to agree with the rest who suggested that it depends on the context, the situation, and the type of delivery. So definitely, I think the word best, I'm a bit worried about. Thank you.
Okay, I have an observation grammatically. I think it's not best that is used, rather it's most often. Most often. And most often doesn't necessarily means that other factors are not considered. What is done most often points to the fact that it could be observed or accepted in a particular formation. So I think with the word most often, these two words combined, especially in the sentence, it is pointing to the fact that other mentors are considered, other arrangements are considered, but the U shape is the most often that is used. So we look at it as acceptance, and we look at it as possibly the formation to go with. That's my observation.
Thank you very much. So we'll conclude on that. So we'll go to question number 10. Roll-out activities are used at the end of each training day to energize participants. True or false? Roll-out activities. Hello? True or false? True.
Can we define the roll-out activities?
10. Roll-out activities are used at the end of each training day to energize participants.
Another observation. Because
false. Why false?
Because, Madam France.
I think it's false because when you are doing a rollout activity, that is the start of the session. In my opinion, it is done at the start of the session. You have to have icebreakers. You have to put people in suitable conditions so that they can start work. But at the end of the day, I think you just need to do a debriefing session, that's all.
So we take false, right? Finally, from my end, non-oral communication is less important than oral communication. Non-oral communication is less important than oral communication. False. And thank you very much.
The last one is the homework. The last is the homework. Les autres là, c'est on va regarder ici l'évaluation finale. On devait discuter sur l'évaluation finale. Donc, OK. On regarde l'évaluation finale.
So let's look at the final evaluation.
English. Alors, voilà.
Does everybody have the form?
Donc, lorsque vous voulez...
When you want to conduct the evaluation of this training, we propose this. You will complete this form, complete all sections in this form. You will do a general appraisal of the training and the content.
Evaluation. OK. This one. On fait d'une pierre deux coups.
So here we are killing two birds with one stone. You have end of training evaluation form. There's general appraisal of the content, appraisal on the general organization. These are different sections which you should evaluate. So we ask you to complete this training evaluation form. We will send you the soft copy of this form also.
It will be better to have an anonymous evaluation rather than putting...
Donc, moi, j'aime pas les évaluations anonymes. Vous savez pourquoi?
I don't like anonymous evaluations because if we need to contact the participant to follow up with regard to what they said, we have to know who said what. We need to help each other. Often people don't want to write their names because they want to be anonymous. But I say, if you want us to help you, write your name. We have your emails, and if we can help you to move ahead, and that is my opinion. That's why I want you to write your names. When you go back to your countries, you might face difficulties. Most of the people who contact me after, I look at whether that person completed my evaluation form. I will take the time to answer. But if they did not put their name down, I take more time to respond to that person. That is how I work, really. I put all cards on the table. People contact me after to say, I want to prepare my training class. How should I structure this? And that is something that is unavoidable. And I always rely on the evaluation form of that person, whether they wrote their names. If they did, I will immediately answer and do what they want me, help them. That is how I've been working for the past 15 years.
Donc, oui.
Microphone, please.
On a 5 minutes pour remplir.
We have 5 minutes to complete this evaluation form, and then you give them to me, please.
5 minutes. J'ai branché. Le temps qui termine l'évaluation.
Whilst they complete the evaluation, I think we will, when they complete, that's the end of my session, I think.
Maybe we can have a test. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Mark. Okay. Hi, Anli.
Good morning.
Perfect. We can hear you.
Yeah, could we hear the slide deck again, since we had so many issues yesterday that we'll just ask you to advance the slides, and we have a lot fewer this morning, so that will make it less difficult.
Screen from here to make it easier for you.
Yes. So if you could, just like we did at the end of the day.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Hi, Emily.
Do you seem normal, Jane?
I don't see you. I hear you.
Yeah, for some reason I just lost video. So.
Maybe log out again.
Yeah, I just had to disable all my protections on my computer. There. Okay.
And Marty there. Yeah. I think we just very clear on a simple goal that we can't go really deep. We just don't have enough. But I think this is very new, and the engagement is I think we just want to use a few things today. It's so much. That's what I feel like it's coming. For them to understand with little time. We talked about the dynamic in their fields, just how much other people need to understand network leadership also. I guess strengths of how you actually get it, it feels like our message received as well, because it's so complex. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's really hard to be serious with this, I know.
Yeah. Let me. I don't have my, and I didn't think that I didn't think to call yesterday. I think we just have to keep it simple today, as much as we can. Because yesterday we had a chance to conclude as far as getting final results. So I don't have a good sense. Forgot to mention that. Of how they took over what weeks.
Do you want to start by asking where people are at?
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Okay.
Well, can you see the screen?
We can.
You can or you can't?
We can.
Yes, you can. Well, we are doing an evaluation, so we need 3 more minutes to get done, and then we will give you the floor.
Can you please advance the slides today? The title page. If you go toward the end of the slide deck, we'll tell you when to stop, please.
We start from here?
No, keep going.
So as you can see the screen, do we start from here or we?
No, keep going forward, please. Another slide. Ready. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
just touching.